Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Watch and Roll. Today we're taking a look at the Divecore HP strap. And despite that I seriously like this strap, I will try my best at remaining neutral for you to consider the negatives. First of all, let me tell you a bit about the brand itself. Divecore is a fairly new manufacturer that started in 2020 as Vortex straps, and they specialize in diving straps. Later on, they switched the brand name to Divecore and released a few models, with their HP model being their flagship. I have been following Divecore on Instagram and I have seen some possible collaboration with Seal. Now, Seal Instruments is a watch manufacturer located in Tucson, Arizona. If you've never heard of them, check them out because they do really high performance watches, and the engineering behind these watches are just really something else. They make like 6,000 meter watches that are not so thick, and they basically make them one by one, so they're not mass produced. Seal Instruments seems to be collaborating with Divecore because some of the Seal dive watches come with a Divecore HP. If you guys remember, I reviewed this Vortex diving strap, which I was a fan of because they offer a bunch of features that I would say are very unique and kind of revolutionary. Now, the Divecore HP is basically this Vortex strap, but perfected. They took that Vortex strap as a starting point and modified it, so there's a lot of modifications that I will go through. Number one, they redesigned the spring bars and the strap aperture altogether. These are 2.5 millimeter spring bars, just like the ones you can find on your ISO rated divers, but with a quick release lever. They are thicker and stronger than the regular bars, but the difference is that these Divecore bars will also fit your Swiss divers because the tips right here are actually thinner than the Japanese ISO rated bars. So why is that, you might ask? Because they give you the versatility to be able for you to install your OEM Japanese fat bars that are arguably better, stronger, and will fill the entire lug holes than the spring bars that come in any other shop like Isoframe, Tropic, etc, etc. But if you want to install this Divecore strap on your Swiss diver that handle thinner spring bars, then these Divecore bars will be compatible also. Because of the concept of being able to remove the spring bar and install your own trusty 2.5mm ISO rated bars, they redesigned the spring bar by moving the quick release lever all the way to the side on the spring bar itself to fit in this whole aperture that is also moved all the way. If you take a look at, for example, this spring bar, the lever is a little bit more on the left side and this one is more on the right side, and of course this hole is, I guess, is bigger, but it's moved on the right side. Take a look at these regular straps and spring bars. That has always been my problem when trying to get straps for my Japanese ISO rated divers. How am I gonna put a flimsy thin spring bar in that big hole? Doesn't feels right. So that is number one, their proprietary 2.5mm spring bars and lever aperture. Now, if you have a dive style watch or a divers that the lugs are too close to the case, in which is even tight for a NATO, you should be careful because the thickness of this strap itself is pretty thick, such as for example on my Oceana Scatulate or on my Orient Kamasu 2. In these two situations, I had to install the regular spring bars that are thinner for it to be compatible. So just keep that in mind. Number two is their signature mono accordion design. Divecore's idea to have a mono accordion design is to have the benefit of the flexibility and a degree of the capability of the strap to shrink as your wrist shrinks due to underwater pressure, but without the intrusive design of the accordion design itself, allowing the keeper to get closer to the watch. For example, in this Seiko OEM strap, I kind of had to cut and paste this strap because it was just too long for me. I have a small wrist. So the problem I had is that the strap, because it was too long, you will have this tongue sticking out, and this keeper would not be able to get all the way here to kind of fix the problem. So this accordion design prevents you from getting this sticking part all the way. That is not much of a problem in here since the keeper is closer. So yeah, as you can see, that was the concept on the vortex strap. But if you notice, the mono accordion design here does not work very well. It is just too thick and it doesn't flex that much. That was completely redesigned on the Divecore HP. Number 3, the flat pin buckle and the flat holes are of course much better in diving straps. See, if you had a regular pin like the one on the Seiko, that is a smaller area, and a smaller area is more likely to pierce through the material. So flat and pin buckle and flat holes are much more resilient because of that. I do notice on this Divecore there is just many more quantity of holes. I'm gonna bring this as an example. This is, I believe, a solo diver. So I do notice on this Divecore there is just many more quantity of holes across the entire strap that allow them to put them closer together, giving much more level of micro adjustments, and it gives you more versatility of sizes to wear. I guess you can put it on a wrist as big as this, as well as on a wrist, I guess, a small. Yeah, that's pretty much its limit. Yeah, this is very small. I guess you can put it on a girl's wrist, or kind of a baby. No, not baby, but I would say a kid. Number 4 is the locking system, which this protuberance underneath the keeper that connects with this hole over here. This is probably something important for dive watches, because if you dive or surf, the strong force of the water, especially if you're surfing, will definitely cause the keepers to be moved and disengage. This is something that, for example, you don't see on the ISO frame or other professional straps. So these vortex and the Divecore keepers will definitely stay on. I do notice it's harder to put the vortex on and off your wrist than the Divecore HP, but of course the vortex is more secure in that regard. The Divecore HP has narrower keepers to make it easy to put on and off, but they are thicker. I also noticed that because of this underneath pattern on the HP model, that has a certain relationship with these keepers. It does make the keepers stay in place, but they're also movable. It's kind of a diving vessel where you have steps when you're trying to glide them when you have it on your wrist. It is hard to explain, but it just simply works. Now notice how the shape of the vortex, which is flat, versus the shape of the Divecore, it is curved. When I wore these vortex straps after a long time of wearing it, it created some irritation in my skin because of this part of the strap. And the same goes for these other straps that are designed flat. See, the thing is that because these are flat, when you have it on your wrist, it acts like a spring that is constantly trying to recover the shape. So this middle part is gonna be constantly pushing on your wrist. That is not the case on the Divecore strap because it's created curved. Plus, accordion design of course give you more flex than on this one. This wave thing is closer to the lugs, as you can see, and the strap, it's longer on the Divecore HP. It does has those patterns underneath, which helps it bend, and it has added holes. So this strap, it's super comfortable in comparison with this vortex strap. Talking about the pattern underneath, take a look at the pattern on the vortex strap. It has this kind of design versus the pattern on the vortex has this other pattern, like curved underneath. I find that is much more better on the Divecore because these might create a little bit of irritation on your skin, and plus salt and grime often got stuck on this strap. In here is not the case. The strap is just clean, and it helps a lot keeping the strap in place to your wrist, like hugging and holding your wrist, but without the aggressiveness and the grime and dirty aspect of it. It just works. Now, silicone is great for diving. It's temperature resistant, it's skin friendly and strong, but it attracts length, and it simply does not look and feels as good as FKM. FKM glides more freely when you run it through the keepers. Silicone on this vortex kind of sticks to each other. So yes, guys, those are the main differences between both straps. I can definitely tell you the Divecore HP, although it is more expensive, it is much more comfortable and just better in almost every single regard. And of course, if you want to compare these other straps, this Richie is pretty comfortable. It is not as comfortable as the Divecore, I will tell you that, even though it's pretty flexible. I would say that the FKM on the Divecore is more flexible because of the design, and for some reason the FKM is very dense. It's dense, so it feels solid, but it is very flexible. Take a look at the difference of these straps. This is, I think, a solo diver. I mean, the difference in design is just way more different. Another thing I like to say is on all these straps, including on the vortex, these sections are sharp, and that can add some discomfort. It's just not so comfortable for your skin. On the Divecore, if you notice, the curved section is more pronounced. On the vortex, it remains this way, while on the Divecore, it tapers down, so it's actually easier for the strap to just glide underneath and engage. As you can see, that just simply does not happen on the vortex. These are just very many small details on the Divecore HP that just really sets it apart from the vortex strap. Another thing you can take a look is this Seiko OEM strap. Nice. It's silicone, so the material is not as good. I noticed that the material on silicone, both the vortex and the Seiko, kind of wears down. There's markings, and if you scratch, you can actually damage the silicone. And the pattern underneath, so prone to dirt, dirtiness and stuff like salt to just get stuck on it. That just doesn't happen on the Divecore HP. And of course, the material used on the Divecore HP is just much better since it's FKM. I do notice that the material does, this is a salt mark, but the material does not wears down. I have these other Divecore HPs, and I've been using them, wearing them for a while, and I just have not seen any markings or any damage to the strap itself. It just remains as new. So there you have it, guys. I do think these straps are very unique. If anything, I would like to see more models and colors available. To my understanding, if these straps sell very well, they will be releasing more models and colors. I certainly would love for the team at Divecore to release more stuff, because I do think it is quite something substantial what they have created right here. I would want to say more negative things about this, but I really don't have much negative to say. Guys, don't get something like this on your ISO rated Seikos, Orients, or Citizens. Don't put thin spring bars on your divers. They're just going to damage the lug holes, and they're just not as secure as your OEM fat spring bars. If you want something substantial and as well thought as your watch, get yourself something worthy of it. In this Seiko, I installed their own OEM 2.5mm ISO rated spring bars. They're just more secure. They fill the holes. There's no wiggling around. It just fits perfect. They fill the gaps entirely, and it's FKM. It's basically your upgrade for your original Seiko silicone straps. Now, another thing I want to mention, guys, is because of this pattern, when you actually put the strap on, say right here, there is less material in contact with the strap. Well, right now the gaps are being filled by water, but because there is less contact with the strap glides much better when it's trying to get in and out the keepers. As you can see, well, right now of course it's wet, especially glides when it's wet. Also, it just glides. So look at that. Oh my god. It's just so easy. Look at that. It glides like butter. So yeah, definitely. This is really, really satisfying on a strap. Look at that. Boom. And it just clicks. Oh my god. Crazy. But yeah, this is a very, very good strap, definitely. Look at this. It kind of glides in there. Very nice. Thank you guys, and I hope you all have a good Christmas, and I'll see you in the next video.